Hi everyone, I wanted to talk about wisdom today. I know I've shared some snippets of what wisdom is and how to define that in past videos, but I wanted to talk about it in relation to clear seeing. When I think about wisdom, I think about wisdom as being clear seeing. We are seeing something clearly, and that is wisdom. And when I think about seeing things clearly and I go inward to see what's going on inside in a mindful, present way, I realize that wisdom is telling me that everything is interconnected. So light is connected to dark, right is connected to wrong, perfection is connected to imperfection, that all of these are interconnected states or interconnected entities. And when we go inward and we really take a moment to just clearly see what's going on, we see the play of these so-called opposites. They seem very opposite, but they're actually very closely interconnected when you actually look at them in a clear way. And why do we want to cultivate wisdom? Why do we want to see something clearly without judgment? To me personally, I want to see things as they are, and I want to see things clearly so that I can find a wise way to act or to meet these different states and different concepts. Like the mind likes to divide this from that, right? So from me, divide me from you, divide black from white, divide light from dark, divide self from the other. The mind is what does that. And so when we go inwards and we see the division clearly, but we also tap into the subtle elements of these two forces, we realize how interconnected these forces really are. So for example, when I think about right or wrong from my mind, they're very black and white, they're very polarized, they're very different. Now, when I go inwards and I really take a look and I notice judgment, and I notice judgment saying this is right, this is wrong, and then I tap into curiosity, is that really true? Is this really right, and is this really wrong, and is this really as black and white as my mind makes up? And when I see inside and I experience right and wrong, the experience starts to merge together. So like right and wrong start to merge together, and they start to bring this holistic viewpoint into my periphery. But it's not just a viewpoint, it's a direct experience of these two coming together. Even if we think about like self and other, right? A lot of times we divide ourselves from other people. Oh, I'm not like that person's not like me. But when we actually reflect and we bring wisdom into it and clear seeing, we realize that actually, there is so much overlap between self and other. Yes, there are differences as well, but those differences are differences that the mind magnifies. So it's not that the differences aren't there. It does feel very different, and it does exist, but the mind makes it out into something that's just much more bigger, right? So now when we tap into, let's say, sameness, right, we tend to notice how sameness, being the same and also being different, is closely interconnected. Both of those can exist at the same time, right? Differences and similarities can exist at the same time. And there is a dance between that. You know, we switch from here to there, and this is kind of like how I see it. And they're both very interconnected, just like we would envision a spider web, right? You know, everything in that spider web is interconnected. Every thread in that spider web is interconnected. And this is what I mean by wisdom. Wisdom will tell us and show us, and we will experience through wisdom and clear seeing how everything is interconnected. And when we see that, it's quite magical, because now we have to meet life differently, right? How would you meet life differently if you realized on a deeper level that everything is interconnected? What would you do? How would you behave? How would you feel? You know, for me, when I realize everything is interconnected, I feel full, I feel contented, I feel like I'm not going to separate myself from any of these states. They're all part of me. Every single bit is part of me. Darkness is part of me, lightness is part of me, right is part of me, wrong is part of me. Separateness, you know, as well as sameness, you know, is part of the makeup of life and part of me. And when we see that really clearly, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. So I want you guys to I want you to really look within, bring in that mindful presence, that non-judgmental awareness, right? Notice the polarities internally, right? And just feel into them, and then start to see over time how they merge and how they actually are very, very interconnected. And we do not need to dismiss any of those. We don't need to grab and hold on to any of them, and we do not need to push any of those away. It just becomes a very holistic way of us seeing ourselves, seeing each other, and seeing the world. And ultimately, I want you to also check into how that would feel if you really embodied this sense of interconnection.